Hello, everybody. This is Frank with Iron Age News. It is Saturday, July 11th, 6 p.m. And this is an interesting little sideshow of the war, and I'm sure you'll hear more about it because it was obviously, we can't say that he did it on purpose, but he probably did it on purpose. Khanna is now the new Juicy Smolliette of the Democratic Party because as of today, 11 July, what has gone on is Mr. Khanna got himself into the West Bank of Israel in the Palestinian district and got himself into some trouble. And most of the story that we have at this moment, unfortunately, is based on Ro Khanna's account and a handy video he happened to have, plus the initial Israeli responses. There are several important facts, particularly regarding security coordination, which I saw right off the top of my head, and they have not yet been publicly established. So here's what we have for a timeline. Representative Ro Khanna, he's from California. If you don't know Ro Khanna already. And as I ran through his thing to see if he was already dumb enough to have put it up on his Wikipedia, he hasn't, but somebody's been on the page. Back in like 2016, because he's an Obamaite, he used to be the guy who handled looking into anti-Semitism. Now he's like Jew hater number 7, out of all the Jew haters in the Democratic Party. But I digress, which is why you think it's funny that Ro Khanna shows up in Israel, right? So he travels to Israel and the West Bank during the congressional recess because that's where everybody goes. It's a hip spot, especially Tel Aviv. The visitor, meaning him, appears to have been a privately funded political campaign trip rather than an official congressional delegation, although it was reportedly authorized under House rules. And there's a reason for that. And the visit reportedly lasted about 3 days and included meetings and tours in the West Bank with who? Don't know. According to Khanna, one purpose was to observe conditions firsthand in Palestinian communities and the effects of Israeli settlement activity. He has become one of the House's most vocal critics of the Israeli government's policies toward the West Bank and Gaza. And that's from Reuters. And this is the guy who was the head of the research anti-Semitism. How quick they change, right? So picture what I just said is going on and that you know that Palestine is a fucking war zone, right? Now, here's the incident. So a confrontation supposedly occurred near, and I'm going to kill this one, Khirbet Zanuta. It's a Palestinian village in the southern West Bank that has been largely abandoned following repeated settler violence. And that's his term about what's going on there. According to Khanna, his vehicle was stopped by armed Israeli settlers carrying M4 style rifles. We'll get to that in a minute. The settlers blocked the road for roughly an hour. Israeli soldiers later arrived. Khanna alleges the soldiers initially sided with the settlers and prevented his group from leaving. His party ultimately departed after contacting the U.S. Embassy and Israeli police. We'll get back to that again. Israel's response, the IDF, which is the army, disputes important portions of Khanna's account. According to the Israeli military, troops responded after they got reports of civilians confronting the visitors, which that actually, we see that. The soldiers dispersed the settlers. The visitors were not detained by the IDF. Israeli officials deny that the military intentionally prevented the delegation from leaving. This factual dispute will likely be the center for future reporting because Khanna has already sworn that he's going to get 15 minutes out of this and teach the Israelis a lesson. So what was Khanna's agenda? Publicly, Khanna has stated that he wanted to see conditions in Palestinian communities without relying solely on official briefings because there's nothing else going on in the world right now. Politically, and he could have done it a while ago. He could have gone over with that girl in her boat, right? Politically, the trip fits a broader pattern of his recent positions. He is critical of Israeli settlement expansion. He calls for greater scrutiny of U.S. military aid, hence that he knows that those are M4 rifles. advocacy for preserving a two-state solution, and increasingly strong criticism of Israeli government policy. Reuters, which must have been in the seat next to him, also notes that Khanna has been discussed as a possible 2028 presidential candidate, making the political significance of the trip greater than that of an ordinary congressional visit, because it was not an ordinary congressional visit, because he came here privately. Why? In my mind, first thing, right? So this is his story. Him and his guides are bopping around in one of the most dangerous hunks of real estate on the planet, outside of an actual war zone. He's not bothering anybody, but from a distance, he looks a little swarthy, and he gets stopped at a roadblock, theoretically, by these Arab settlers who figure a car full of swarthy looking Arabs are probably up to no good. Even though Khanna is an Indian, who cares, right? So they supposedly stop him. There is videotape showing something. They don't show enough. And there's no real sound on the one I heard, because why would you want sound if they say, hey, Arab guys, would you like a sandwich? And they say, no, we don't want a sandwich. You got to take this jerk off from the United States around, show them places. And they're like, okay, cool. See you later. We don't know what was said there, right? And if there was in whatever they were speaking, Arabic or Hebrew, who the hell knows, right? I don't know it. It's not my language. So that's part of the story. Most importantly, it is a war zone. I don't care what anybody calls it. And if you go on your services, if you wanted to look this up through AI, especially, they will tell you Palestine's not a war zone. They will tell you there's some really nice sections that you should go visit, get an Airbnb, try the pickled vegetables. They were really excellent. Actually, they are certain parts of there and certain parts of Beirut. But the thing is, you're a congressman. You didn't check in with the State Department. It says they did, right? It says that they did, but he has no security force with him. If you were the king of Israel, any of you, even those of you who hate Israel, if you're the king of Israel and I have a guy who I know hates Jews, right? Hates them. You got the phone call on the secret Jew phone. This guy Rokan is coming and he hates us. And he's going to go to Palestine and he's going to find all these problems with us, with these American rifles and blah, blah, blah. Fine. Would you not send at least one of your old retired security guards with maybe a revolver, a flashlight, flash the light at him? Wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't you think that would be a smart move? Why is Rokan wandering through Palestine with just his quote unquote local guides? Interesting there. Secondly, there's a group called Hamas. Hamas are criminal murderer types, right? If Hamas, which everybody seems to know what's going on in that country, if I'm running Hamas that week, because you only get to run it for a week, and I hear an American congressman is coming to town and he's going to be in my section of the war zone, what are we going to do? Are we going to kidnap him and torture him on television? Are we going to kidnap him and keep him underground for 10 years? Are we going to kidnap him and then who knows what they're going to do? Celebrate diversity on his ass? Or are we just going to kill him and everybody else and cut their heads off? Or, my favorite, kidnap him and ship him to Iran to use as a hostage. That would have been sweet, right? There is no mention of them ever running into any militants at all. Probably because, and you can sue me, someone in that car knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody who played cards with somebody from Hamas, because they knew he was there to do a number on the Israelis on television, and he was going to run for president, which means they would have a friend in their house of war, right? In the house of war, they would have a friend who was going to put it to the people of the great Satan. That's kind of what I think was running there. You can say what you want. He's going to say what he wants. His problem is he better hope that the Israelis didn't have some kind of flock camera somewhere and know what this asshole's up to, or that they haven't gotten a hold of those guys and found out that they are all working for Hamas or the Palestinian Authority or something like that. This has happened before. This happened with that World Kitchen thing. It was a chef out of Spain. He has this. He's another part of the scam. He should have been under Doge. I don't know why he didn't get under that. And they killed a couple of his workers who were out at 2 o'clock in the morning or something delivering food in a truck that supposedly had rifles pointing out the windows, right? But none of this ever happens. This is all hearsay. And here we see a guy who is such a fantasist. And he went to, of course, he went to some big school. Unfortunately, he's from Philadelphia, theoretically. He lived in Bucks County, so fuck him. And yeah, really, just fuck him. He's basically, like I said, once again, you're going to tell me that an elected official is going to wander through all this area and no one's going to lay a finger on him? Somebody was protecting him, and I don't even think the Israelis knew he was there. The way they're talking, it doesn't sound like they knew either that he was there or what this was all about, because they were there with this private organization, which is probably an NGO, which is probably a front for somebody, and Ro Khanna was in it. He may not have known, we'll have to say as a disclaimer, because Ro Khanna is a very wealthy man and a lawyer, and we don't want to get sued over this, that he would have been a babe in the woods, an innocent party to all this terrorist shenanigans. So that's what's going on with that story. So when you see it, that's what's up. The whole thing about this with the M4 rifle thing, these are rifles. The M4 is like the little shorty version. We used to call it the Car 15. But it's a shorter version of the M16, okay? And don't get crazy about it. It's a regular rifle. They're all over the place. If right now the Americans have a big deal going on, I forget how much the money is. He probably wants to stop that deal. He's in a position in the Congress where he can mess around with a lot of that kind of stuff. So let's look forward to seeing Ro Khanna try to fuck with the weaponry supply to the Israelis. And these are purchases. So he's really not thinking it through. When it's going to be weapons grants that we do, different story. But if they're buying them for cold hard cash and you mess that up, now Mr. Colt Firearms is going to be mad at you. All right. So just thought I'd put that out there. What a tale. How open do you have to have these guys get with their sympathies to Islamic terror and to socialism before somebody wakes up? I have no idea. So that's all I have for this. It was ridiculous from beginning to end. I don't know what to tell you. But otherwise, it's like 96 degrees. You're already halfway through the soccer game. I think that's on today. So there you have it. Okay. Talk to you later on. Goodbye.